Hey guys, so today I'm going to be giving you some Vanduul Swarm tips for Star Citizen 1.1. Now, these tips are going to be only for Star Citizen 1.1 because once new Arena Commander updates start coming out, these tips would most likely become irrelevant. Some of them may still be of use, but we can only see when that time comes. Now, understand that right now, Vanduul Swarm is the best way to get REC, or rec points. Rec points, if you guys don't know, are rental equipment credits, and you can use them to buy ships and guns, and like missiles and missile racks, and a whole bunch of different things. For Star Citizen, if you don't have the money, you just rent them out. You rent out those items for a week's time. 7 periods of 24 hours. Now, you get these by playing public multiplayer matches. You play Squadron Battle, or Battle Royale, or Vanduul Swarm, but right now Battle Royale is annoying and Squadron Battle no one plays it, so the best way to get REC is Vanduul Swarm, not only because it's more rec points per minute, like, so you get them faster than any other mode. It's less stressful because right now people in Battle Royale run around with Superhornets and sledges and they just wreck shit on anyone who's trying to play a fair game and not power game. So save yourself the annoyance to play some Vanduul Swarm. It's actually pretty fun. Alright, so to start off, Vanduul Swarm tip number 1. You guys are probably going to want this tip if you're not that into cooperative Vanduul Swarm, you're more into competitive Vanduul Swarm, so maximizing your rec points. Rec points received. Is that some people know this, some people don't. Whenever the round starts for Vanduul Swarm, any round, so be it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, the Vandal will spawn opposite of you on the map. You could use this to your advantage to get a head start on your opponents, and then hopefully snag a first kill. You're gonna wonder, well, how do we find out where the opposite side of the map is? All right, so orient yourself on the map and look at the mining laser, or the laser in the middle of the map. You're gonna look at that, and farther along across that, past off into the distance, is going to be where the Vandal spawn, because that's the middle of the map is the laser. So basically opposite of the laser. It's just like you, laser, and then Vanduul Swarm, and then the Vandal is where they're going to spawn. You could use this, to get the jump on your teammates if you don't really, if you're not working with them. Just keep in mind, if you're the first one into the swarm, you might not live in the later rounds because you won't have your teammates to back you up. They'll still be waiting for their radar pips or their radar to be like, oh, Vandal's over here. So just keep that in mind, but that's a fairly useful tip, especially for if you're playing with newer pilots, because they won't know. They won't know where the Vandal are going to spawn. So, okay, so now, at the beginning of the round, I'll show you a clip here. At the beginning of the Vanduul Swarm round, you're going to level yourself off with the Vandal, okay, to where they're facing you parallel, because you're probably going to be the first one there, because of tip 1. You're probably going to be the first one engaging the Vandal. And now you're going to select, preferably, the nearest target towards you, and you'll understand why right now. You're going to select the nearest target towards you and firing all your weapons simultaneously if you have a ship with a lot of guns, a lot of firepower preferably. Being parallel to these Vandal, you will be able to unload you'll be able to unload enough lethal shots to kill the first Vandal that you see. The reason I say first, and the reason I don't say strongest Vandal, because normally you'd think, oh, I gotta go for the bosses first, or the hunters first. The reason I don't say the strongest first is because in later rounds, when you're going against Vandals, or any Vandal other than hunters or scavengers will not live through will live through this first barrage of attacks. Their AI is just too smart, they're too tanky, and it basically won't do anything. But you'll be able to see that for hunters and scavengers especially, you'll be able to take them out incredibly quickly if you level yourself off and you unleash a first barrage onto the Vandal. Okay, now sometimes this doesn't work. Sometimes the Vandal just run away from you, you're not able to get enough shots on, their shields hold up, whatever. Don't get tunnel vision, okay? Don't get tunnel vision to where you're chasing a half-dead Vandal all the way around a bunch of asteroids while 5 others are chasing you behind you. That's just bad day. You don't want to do that. But understand, you can get a first kill, and it's very advantageous in any situation. I hope you guys understood that, because I was just rambling on. Okay. Okay, this is just a general dogfighting tip, but for the next one, it's tip number 3. Whenever you're facing an enemy, this is dogfighting tip in general. So you're playing Battle Royale, you'll do amazing if you listen to this tip. Fly in more than one direction at once. So if you're flying straight at a Vandal, or you're gonna joust with a Vandal, or you're coming up and you're gonna hit one perpendicular to you, fly either strafe to the left, right, up, or down, combined with your forward movement. So you'll be harder to hit from any enemy that's tailing you, and also you might get a better angle on the Vandal themselves. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Just always be traveling in more than one direction at once. It won't hurt you, especially if you're using Afterburner. Afterburner, with additive strafe, Afterburner works incredibly well, and you can move really fast in 2 directions at once. That leads me into my next tip, is that use your Afterburner as much as possible. However, just keep in mind how much you have left. Your Afterburner should be labeled on your ships. I fly a Hornet, and it's in the bottom right. It recharges pretty slowly, so you gotta watch out with your Afterburner. But it's incredibly useful in making sharp turns if
into the great beyond.
If you want to make sharp turns, which you should. If you want to get good at dogfighting, you're going to want to live at the edge of blackout all the time, especially in Hornets, in ships that aren't meant to take really fast turns, so Hornets, Cutlasses, things like that. You're going to want to live at the edge of blackout, and with that, or to be able to do that, you're going to be using your Afterburner to take sharp turns, and it'll let you get the jump on your opponents. Okay, that was a mouthful. Alright, so now, tip number 5? Yeah, 5. Alright, now every 3 waves, so every boss wave, you have your ammo and missiles refueled. So your stockpiles are refueled. This means that every 3 rounds, you should be wasting all of your missiles to maximize the amount of firepower you can put on the field. Preferably, you'd use this at every boss wave. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18, you're going to unleash all your missiles, but don't use them on any other round unless you have to. Except on those rounds that I mentioned. This is because at the end of that round, you get your missiles back. And those rounds are the hardest of the set of 3. Of the set of 3 rounds. Yeah, just, you don't want to waste your missiles. You don't want to just have them and never use them. Of course you want to use them. Be careful though, don't lock all your missiles onto a single Vandal at one time. So, say you have 8 sparks in a Hornet. You're not going to release all 8 of them on a single Vandal Scavenger, because he could either evade them, or they might be too far. He might outrun the missiles. You never know. He might hit a flare. He might pop a flare. What you're gonna want to do is save them for the boss round, and then once you're done targeting the weaker Vandal, or say you go for the primary Vandal first, so like Vandal Prime, Payday, Reaper, you're going to lock on 1 or 2 missiles every single time you can. So it's going to be like lock, fire, lock, fire, lock, fire. And you just keep doing that. And if you keep doing that, he doesn't have a time to just keep spamming flares, and hopefully one of them is going to hit. He won't be able to evade them. Besides, you're getting missiles back anyway, so why not just spam them? This is a little harder on wave 18 and the subsequent waves before that, because there's a lot more Vandals that need to be taken out by missile, because they're just really hard to dogfight with. But that's up to you. Okay. Now, let's see what else. The Vandal, the Scavengers and the Hunters, and the Alphas too, they're separated into 2 parts. So like the blade, so like all Vandal basically, the blade and the body. You're going to want to aim for the body all the time. Never hit the blade. Why do you say this, Steven? Well, the body's the kill shot. The blade doesn't do anything but break off on the Vandal. You're gonna want to hit the body of the Vandal, not only taking down their shields, but a couple shots on the Vandal body will take it out completely. Plus, it's really hard to hit a Vandal for some reason when they don't have the blade on them. Just, that's what I'm saying. If there's like it's just they're a smaller target to see. So once you take the blade off a Vandal, it's harder to hit than if it did have the blade. It's a smaller target. So always aim for the body. Always, always, always. Alright, so I'm going to list off some of the best ships for Vanduul Swarm. You guys can use whatever you want as long as you're having fun in Vanduul Swarm, but if you want to hit the higher rounds, easier than in a ship that takes more skill, such as an Aurora or a 300i, you're going to want to use these ships. So a Gladius, it's really strong. It's got 4 shields or 4 shield systems on each side. Or you get what I mean. It's got 4 layers of 4 shields. 4 shield walls. Okay. It's fast too. Gladius is fast and it turns on a dime. Alright, now the Hornet and the Super Hornet. The reason I say these two is because their firepower is unmatched. Super Hornet especially. You can mount 6 size 2 guns on it, I think. Yeah, 6 size 2 guns on a gimbal. And that is just intense. So Super Hornet above all is the just top dog. Hornet as well. I fly Hornet Ghost because it's not as OP. Like I don't want it to be that hard, but I still want it to be kind of fun. And I like the Hornet. After that, I would say Avenger is great because it's fast and it's agile and it's relatively small, so the Vanduul will have a hard time hitting you. After that, you could take your pick of the rest of the ships. The worst of all, worst ships, the ones that I would not recommend whatsoever, although some people like them. It's okay if you like them, but just understand they're not going to do well in Vanduul Swarm unless you are a great pilot, which I'm guessing you are since you're flying it in Vanduul Swarm. Is probably the Mustang. Mustangs are made of paper. They get shredded absolutely, like, all the time I see them. They get shredded. After that, I'd say a 300i, base 300i, because their ass end is so big, engine gets knocked out every chance you could get. And then it's a Cutlass, but Cutlass can do well depending on who's piloting it, because it's got so much firepower. After that, you take your pick. Auroras, they actually do pretty well. The Auroras that I've seen do really well. Maybe because it's their small size. M50s do moderately okay too. It's just people have a problem because they don't carry a lot of flares, so they get susceptible to missile attacks from the Vanduul and higher waves, and that means death. All right, last one for you guys is going to be the radar ball. Every ship has a radar, like sphere, before the or right in front of the cockpit, or in the cockpit before the pilot's eyes. Oh, can't talk. You learn how to use this radar ball. If you don't, you will never, ever, ever, I promise you, ever in your life become even an amateur pilot. You need to know where your enemies are at all times. All the time, no matter what, you have to know where they are so you could launch an attack upon them. If you don't, you're just gonna get hit from out of nowhere. You're not gonna know what to do. Your show's gonna go down and you're gonna die. That's it. Learn how to use it and learn how to orient yourself to where you are facing your enemy at all times. Now, along those same lines, understand that along the same lines of tunnel vision as well. Understand that you're not going to want to chase after any enemy too long, because Vanduul have a tendency to get behind you specifically, and they run away and then they'll come back, run away and they'll come back, run away and they'll come back. So while you're chasing Vanduul A, Vanduul B is running away and then he'll come back right behind you and he'll get you. So always be tapping your nearest hostile key. I have mine bound to C. I think that's default. You're going to always be wanting to tap that. So even though the Vanduul in front of you may be 1,000 meters away, there might be one behind you that's 500 meters. You're going to want to swing around and hit him as fast as possible, because he's basically attacking you without any threat towards him. Also along those lines is that don't be afraid to charge straight into a Vanduul. Vanduul have a tendency, if one of them is tailing you, you turn around quickly and charge straight for them using your afterburner. They're going to like, imagine like a flying saucer. The saucer's gonna turn to a plate, and then they're gonna show their belly side to you, and you're gonna be able to get as many free hits on them as possible, because they don't want to hit you. They're going to dodge away, and when they dodge away, they slow down, and you're able to get as many free hits on them as possible. So don't be afraid to charge straight towards a Vanduul. Oh geez, this is the longest I've talked in a video in a long time, for probably ever. I hope some of it was maybe new to you guys. Hopefully it wasn't just common knowledge and I'm just spewing out whatever facts, but these are all facts and tips that I've noticed during my playtime in Vanduul Swarm. hopefully you guys will be able to benefit from this. If you do, then great. I'm glad. Now guys, you could leave comments or criticism of me and my style of doing things wherever, it doesn't matter. All criticism is greatly appreciated. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.